Hi, welcome to a video that on the one hand feels like such a long time coming, but on the other hand feels like I've got absolutely no authority to be making, to be talking about, and that is my tips and advice for Freshers Week. I am now an incoming third year at Edinburgh University, so I do have some experience. I do have things to say about Freshers Week in particular. I guess it kind of feels like yesterday that Freshers happened, which is definitely not true. It happened so long ago. It feels like so much has changed since then. I definitely have a lot to say about that period of my life, but I guess there is a bit of imposter syndrome creeping in when trying to talk about a topic like this. I did film a teeny bit during my Freshers Week, which would have probably been included in like one of the first ever vlogs here from ages ago. Freshers Week was really strange for me, so I got really sick 3 days in maybe, and basically I stayed in bed for the rest of it because I was so sick, which also meant I was very sick for my first week of uni, which is not great when you're meeting all your new course mates and lecturers and tutors and all of that and you can barely speak. I don't know, I guess I had kind of mixed feelings on Freshers Week. I definitely enjoyed it when I wasn't sick. I tried my best to take part in events and things. I remember feeling quite like lost and confused, and I think for me it was a big struggle to kind of go to having a pretty good friendship net back home to not having anyone here. And again, it was kind of strange to like go out with all these strangers basically. It was a strange time. I had a clip that I never included in my vlog because I got a bit too shy about it. I guess I just kind of documented my feelings at the time of Freshers Week and how strange it was and how honestly kind of superficial it felt at times. I feel like now's the time to perhaps do it. It's been 2 years and honestly, maybe it'll be helpful. Maybe it'll be nice for someone to have a look and see how I was feeling during Freshers Week after I think my first or my second night out. A common thread running through this video I think will be that there should be absolutely no pressure surrounding Freshers Week. I feel like there's this rhetoric behind it that's like, this will be the best week of your life, you'll make your best friends here, like if you don't take advantage of Freshers Week, your uni experience will not be great. And I do not agree with that sentiment at all. Freshers Week can be a great memory, you can have great times, but I would absolutely not say it was the best week of my life. And after talking to loads of other people who are now no longer freshmen, they also agree that that was not the best week of their life. I think in general, like this pressure that we add onto Freshers Week kind of makes it so much more stressful than it actually needs to be. So yeah, actually going into my point, my first one would be to not put pressure on Freshers Week. I think when I first came here as an international student, I almost didn't feel that pressure initially. Like I came in with not many expectations, with not too much pressure placed on Freshers Week. But once I got here for freshers, I feel like there was so much just pressure and buzz around it. There were people infiltrating the group chats, offering wristbands and club night deals. There was a lot of FOMO surrounding it, I feel, and there definitely doesn't need to be. Obviously, like they're capitalizing off of it. They're making quite a lot of money off of it. It's a business. But I don't think any of that's necessary. Like more often than not, Freshers Week will not be the best week of your life, and that's okay. It's a fun week. You'll meet a lot of people. More likely than not, you will probably never be in touch with most of those people ever again. More than anything, just remember that Freshers Week is most likely not going to be the best week of your life. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because the following weeks at uni are going to be great. And like there's so many changes and new things happening for that first semester in general that I don't see a reason to put so much pressure on that very first week. And following along to the next point, I'd say don't buy any of those overpriced wristbands, club night deals, any of that. It's such a waste of money. First of all, it's so overpriced. Second of all, if you buy them in advance, you don't actually know who will be going to them. Like I know that the narrative is, oh, everyone's going, like if you don't get them now, they'll sell out last batch. First of all, not really. You're most likely still going to be able to buy tickets to that club night on the day. And if not, from like the club directly, people on group chats will definitely be selling off their tickets. So you will be absolutely fine in that regard. Personally, I'd say it might be better to like meet some people in your student accommodation or societies or wherever and see what they're doing and go with them, because I think that'll be a lot more fun to actually do things and go places with people you know. Like, I'd feel kind of anxious going alone to a club night, especially since most of them, they're really a mess. They're awful. Like, you have to queue for ages just to get into like a gross club. Like, they're not great. I wouldn't recommend them personally. I personally did not buy a single wristband or anything in advance. Everything I did Freshers Week, I decided to do on the day. And one more thing, if you buy tickets for events towards the end of the week, it's very, very likely that you'll have Freshers Flu by then, that you'll be sick and you'll be unable to go. And that's just money down the drain. And that's what happened to me. I got really, really sick middle of Freshers, and it was not fun. It was not great. And yeah, I just would not recommend buying those tickets in advance, especially like far in advance. I'd also say don't put all of your focus on going out in Freshers Week. There's so many fun daytime events organized by the uni, organized by societies, like taster sessions, gym taster sessions. Sounds so cool. The uni has so many different clubs for like every sport imaginable, and they're normally like a little bit more expensive, but you can go to taster sessions and try the sports out for free. I think that's really cool. Like, I didn't take advantage of any of those, and I wish I had. I just wish I had rested a bit more and taken advantage of the things during the day, because some of them were really, really cool, and I definitely did not take advantage of all the things I could have. The next point is Freshers Week, but also just the first weeks of uni, is to be proactive with people. Like, if there's someone in your tutorial or even in like a massive lecture hall that seems cool, ask them for a coffee or something. Like, most people, especially in Freshers, if it's like all first years, everyone's wanting to make friends. Everyone's kind of in the same boat. Most people arrive there without like a formed friend group. And sometimes you just have to be proactive about it and like go out of your way. And sometimes it seems stressful, but it's actually not that bad. People want to make friends. People want to feel included. And sometimes making that first move means you'll have a great friend. This might not be necessarily great advice, but try not to overdo it. Try not to get sick. Obviously, sometimes that's unavoidable, but like being sick in Freshers Week is not fun, especially since if you get Freshers Week, if you get sick during Freshers Week, that means you'll be sick for your first week of uni, and that just sucks. I was so sick my first week of uni, like I was barely speaking. And mind you, that was the time that I was like meeting all my course mates. That was not a good state to be presenting myself to all the new people I was meeting. If you can avoid it, if you can help it in any way, try to take care of yourself, try to not get sick. That being said, Freshers Flu is sometimes unavoidable, and just have to deal with it. The next thing is kind of to do with Freshers, but also I guess something I'm still trying to learn right now, and that is you don't have to be friends with everyone. Obviously during Freshers, like everyone is trying to make as many friends as possible, like trying to get to know everyone. Everyone's super friendly, everyone's super chatty. Again, this is like a realization and something that I'm coming to terms with still to this day. You don't need to be friends with everyone, and that's okay. Like, some personalities, some people just don't match up, and that's okay. It's better to like go for quality over quantity, as cliche as that may sound, but it's completely true. Now, this is definitely not a Freshers specific thing, but I feel like this was worth mentioning just because, again, in Freshers there's this narrative of like trying to meet as many people as possible, and obviously you need to like meet all the people to decide who can be a good friend. Be yourself and try to figure out like who actually matches your personality. I mean, that's another cliche, I guess, but again, be yourself. I feel like it's so easy to fall into the trap of like changing yourself to suit all these new people you're meeting, especially since going to uni, there's so many different people, so many different experiences, so many different perspectives, and it's easy to try to change yourself to suit those people. I feel like I'm like spouting all the cliches right now, but like, don't change yourself for those people. I feel like it's so easy to fall into the trap of like changing your personality a little bit, or like morphing your legs a little bit just to like suit these new people. And on the one hand, it makes sense. You're in such a new and different situation and you're getting all these new experiences and you are changing as a person. I'm not saying like don't change, but don't become a new person overnight. Like, don't completely lose your previous interests and find new ones purely to suit the people you're meeting. And I guess that's a hard balance to hold because, again, like, I'm definitely not the same person I am now that I was in Freshers Week and that I was in high school. Obviously, no, you grow and you evolve and you change. But I definitely questioned at certain points whether or not I lost certain parts of myself, as woo-woo as that may sound. Like, there's definitely things that I would do in the past and I kind of stopped doing now. And I questioned whether it was purely me, or whether it was the environment and like the people I was surrounding myself by. And I guess you don't fully know, but maybe try to be conscious of that you don't need to change yourself to suit other people, because there's so many people at whatever uni you go to, but Edinburgh specifically, there's so many people. You're bound to find someone who suits you, specifically your personality, without needing to change anything. The next one is again kind of debunking a common narrative I think we hear, and that is you will not meet your best friends during Freshers Week. Like, maybe you'll meet one friend that will eventually become your best friend, or even a few of them, but you'll definitely not develop those friendships during Freshers. Like, Freshers, again, as I said, I feel like I'm such a Freshers Week hater now, but Freshers Week is a great way to meet a lot of people who, more likely than not, you're never going to get in touch with post Freshers Week ever again. But even if you do have some stronger friendships that you develop over time, those friendships will more likely than not be developed over the following weeks of studying together or doing your course together if you're course mates, or living together if you live in the same accommodation. Like, that's how you develop your friendships. And I guess it's easy to kind of come into Freshers Week and expect to have these close friends, but especially if you're coming from a school where you've known people for your whole life, basically. It's strange kind of coming in and starting from zero, especially if you're coming from abroad like me. More often than not, you come in without anyone, and that's such a strange experience because you have to start from zero, and you're kind of like desperate for those connections and friendship. If you don't connect with anyone on a deeper level in Freshers Week, that's okay. You're bound to meet someone in your course or at a society event or at some other point. You will meet people. You don't have to settle for the first people you met. There's so many people around, and so many of them probably have similar interests to you, and there's absolutely no need to have to narrow your focus down to, for example, people who are just living in your student accommodation or the people who you just met in Freshers Week. It's okay not to have friends in the first few days. It's okay to branch out if you don't meet anyone there. All that's okay. The next one is not necessarily to Freshers Week, but I guess the following weeks at uni, and that is don't miss your lectures, don't miss your tutorials. You're paying a lot of money to be at this course, so try to make the most of it. The style of learning at uni is so different. Like, for a lot of my courses, especially the essay-based ones, technically I'd be fine going to like 1 or 2 lectures in a semester, and that would be enough probably for me to pass the course because the essays were only based on like 1 or 2 lectures. That being said, if you are choosing a specific course, if you are choosing a specific lecture, take advantage of it. Like, they're so interesting, especially if the topic is something that you are interested in, and you probably are if you've taken that course. They usually have experts in the matter, people who are so passionate about the topics. Obviously, like, there'll be times where you miss a lecture or two, but don't make a habit out of it. I personally found it very beneficial and interesting, if anything, to just have like a stable routine of going to my course and attending and doing all the coursework. But even like thinking selfishly, you can meet friends. That's where you meet your course mates, and those people end up being your really good friends at some point. Even from that perspective, definitely go, especially in your first few weeks. And finally, the last point to kind of summarize everything, the common thread, I guess, of the video is don't compare your uni or Freshers Week experience to anyone else. Everyone's experiences are going to be so different. There's absolutely no reason to have these expectations coming in and then be disappointed of like, why didn't this turn out this way when it did for this person? Why isn't it turning out this way for me? Everyone's experiences will be different, and that's okay, and that's the cool thing. You can meet your best friends for life in Freshers Week, but you might also get really sick and meet no one, but then meet some really cool people at a society event the following week. Like, you don't know what'll happen. The best thing about it is to kind of put yourself out there, to do things that actually interest you, to be a bit proactive, put yourself out there and try to meet people and that are similar to you, or even if they're slightly different from you. That's also really cool sometimes. Just meet people who are nice, who you get along with, are decent human being, and go from there. There's no point comparing it. And even if you see people posting about going out on social media every day, it's probably not that great. Like, I'm not gonna lie, most of those nights out in Freshers Week are not great. They're gross clubs or bars. Like, they're not cool. It's what you get in Freshers Week, and that's I guess the Freshers Week aesthetic, and that's fine as it is. But I feel like I've definitely grown out of that stage of my life. Like, I don't really participate in Freshers Week events, especially like night ones, that much. And you know what? That's fine. That's the beauty of it. You have to go through it in first year and then never again. I didn't know how to explain my feelings properly. Like, I was feeling things, but I didn't know how to explain why I was feeling the way I was feeling. It was kind of strange coming to terms with that, and I don't think it's an uncommon experience, and I think probably a lot of people feel like this. So if you're interested for that clip and actual raw footage of a fresher during Freshers Week. Okay, so I'm back from my first night out on Freshers, and I kind of have mixed feelings. Like, it's fun. I met some nice people, some new people that I haven't been with, but I don't know, like, and I know that these connections are not supposed to be like your lifelong friends, but there were definitely a few people who I immediately thought, like, yeah, they're cool, like, I think we would get along. So I'm just like really torn, because on the one hand I feel like I have to go out and meet people, because otherwise I won't meet new people and I won't meet the people who are potentially like my lifelong friends. But on the other hand, I feel like I'm wasting my time and just need to hydrate a bit after all the fun. But yeah, I'm like really torn, because I don't, it doesn't take away from like the people I feel like most of the people I met were nice enough and cool people, but I just feel like I didn't really click with anyone to the extent that like I expected to. So there's thousands of people here, and it totally makes sense that the majority of people won't be my best friends. I don't like this initial period where you're just like finding everyone. I want to already know everyone who's gonna be an important part of my life. So I'm just like really torn on it, because I really don't know what to think.